ready to go, Andy?
Yep, we're going live right now.
All right, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Temple City Unified School District Board of Education for Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. We'll do a roll call vote. I am here. Mike Lynn, not with us yet. Melissa Espinosa,
Here.
Matt Smith,
Yes, I'm here.
Ken Nolenberg,
Yes, I'm here.
and Nicole isn't with us, our student board member yet. I told her she could just come at 7. Okay, next is public comment on closed session agenda items. I don't have any public comment, and Marie, you don't either. I have one for the open meeting, but not, okay. So we'll move on to item 4, which is disclosure of items to be discussed in closed session. There are 3 of them. Personnel matters, Government Code 54957, public employee appointment, discipline, dismissal, release. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code section 54957.6. I am the designated representative and the unrepresented employee is the superintendent. And the 3rd item is public employee performance evaluation, Government Code section 54957. The titles are the associate superintendent and the chief business officer. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn to closed session at 5:37?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by member Nolenberg.
I'll second.
There's a second by member Smith.
Dr. Lynn,
Okay.
started at 5:30.
Oh, she's calling him. Okay. Member Espinosa.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Nolenberg
Yes.
and member Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-0. So we are going to close session, and Kim, I'll text you when it's time for you to come in, okay?
Perfect.
All righty.
There was at one point, I got in and I thought, I'm gonna get this guy.
So
And then for some reason I got with him and
you
he
should
was
have a little room to enter.
like,
There we go.
oh, okay, not so bad. These were. Yeah.
There's Dr. Lynn.
That's nothing to check. They were in the fridge and it's not like it should be nice and cold and ready to snap, you know? Fresh. Be fresh. What the heck?
Okay, so all the board members and Paul are in there now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Did you already come out here or are you?
No, I'm coming tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. I gave all the stuff to Janet, the money
Thank you.
and the, yeah. So she'll give it to you.
She told me, yes, thank you.
Oh, okay, great, great. Is Daniela going to join us?
Daniela's in Tahoe and she's in a cabin
Oh.
and she doesn't have much Wi-Fi service. So I
Oh,
think it's
okay,
just going to be me.
okay. You'll do a great job.
Thank you.
We just went out of closed session and everybody went to take a little
Took
break.
a quick
until we
break.
start up again. Yeah.
I've got this one piece of hair that hits my glasses and it goes like straight out to the side. Oh, well.
How you doing, Kim?
Good. How are you, Matt?
Good, thanks.
Okay, we have all the board members. Need our superintendent.
There.
Kind of cool.
Michael in yet?
Yes.
All the board members.
we're 240, so this is sort of.
We just need Kim and we can get started. Has anybody seen her? There she is. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll reconvene to open session at 7:02 p.m. and our student board member Nicole has joined us. Can I get a motion and second, please?
Move to reconvene?
Motion by member Smith, second by member Espinosa.
Yes.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. I'll go first this time. I'm a yes. Member Nolenberg,
Yes,
member Smith,
Yes.
member Espinosa,
Yes.
and member Lynn. Member Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Tonight's meeting is being digitally recorded, and we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance led by member Nolan.
please rise and face the flag and put your hand over your heart. And begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and to
to
the republic which
stand
stands one
under
nation under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. You may be seated.
And number 9 is announcement of actions taken in closed session, and there were none. We'll move on to item 10, which is a special recognition presentation, Relay for Life Temple City. And we have here with us tonight, Kim Warner, who is going to tell us all about it. Thank you for coming, Kim.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, board members, for having us with you this evening. And this will be our 9th Relay for Life of Temple City. And the Temple City School District has been with us since the beginning as one of our sponsors and a world of support for us. The first 6 years, we held our relay at Temple City High School before moving over to Temple City Park just a few years ago. This year is going to be a lot different. We are going to be hosting a virtual relay on Saturday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. And we are working really hard with Red 88 to help us put together a virtual premiere, YouTube premiere. And we hope to have that link and be able to send that out the first of next week to everybody, but we hope that you can all join us. It is combining our opening ceremony, closing ceremony, and luminaria ceremony all together. Our luminaria speaker that evening is Marlise Reyna from Oak. And so we're excited to have her joining us that evening. And in the morning, we will be painting the town purple. We have historically done this about a month before relay to kind of promote relay, but this year we're doing it a little different. So we are going to be putting the purple ribbons up and down Las Tunas the morning of relay on October 3rd. And we are going to honor our survivors and our loved ones and those still battling by hanging pictures of them in the trees. Those will probably be on the north side of Las Tunas between Golden West and Kaufman. I think I'm getting that correct. And then they will all be in our slideshow that evening as well. So we hope that you can all join us. Again, we thank you for your support. We just received a donation from the cabinet. So thank you very much to all of those members. And I truly appreciate everything that you have done for us. Thank you.
Kim, we have the e-bite link on our agenda, and did I understand correctly? If you click on the link, then you will be sent if you click on the e-bite, you'll be sent the link to the
Yes.
event? Okay.
If you respond yes to that link, then you will receive a reminder email, which will have the actual link.
Okay, well, that's on our agenda. So if anybody wants to access that through our agenda, they can. Okay,
Perfect.
does anybody have any questions for Kim?
Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. And looking
Thank
forward
you.
to
Hope
the
to
event.
see you on the 3rd.
All right, we'll move on to item 11, which is public comment on agendized and non-agendized items. I have one. I'm going to, it's pretty long, so I'm going to time it and cut it off a little after 3 minutes. Hi, Ms. Georgino. My name is Munchin Yang, a mom of a 29-month-old boy, lives in Temple City. I am also a teacher who worked in Mandarin immersion program for 7 years. I've published 3 books regarding bilingual education. I am also a presenter in the National Chinese Language Conference and ACTFL Conference 2020. As lots of parents lived in Temple City, we spoke both Mandarin and English at home. We are looking for a dual language program for our kids in the near future, but there is no such school in Temple City Unified School District. We found those programs in a lot of districts near Temple City, including South Pasadena Unified School District, Pasadena Unified School District, Monrovia Unified School District, Alhambra Unified School District, Los Angeles Unified School District, West Covina Unified School District, the Walnut Valley Unified School District, Hacienda La Puente Unified School District, the Roland Unified School District, Garvey School District, and some other school district. As a parent, I would like to promote this program in our district to support bilingual kids as the growing needs of immersion programs, either Spanish or Chinese. As a fully credentialed bilingual teacher who worked in a Mandarin immersion program for 7 years, I found that students in dual language programs experience lasting cognitive, academic, linguistic, sociocultural, and economic benefits. My students come from different districts, including San Marino School District, Temple City Unified School District, and Arcadia Unified School District. A dual language program increases the enrollment number. Data shows that a dual language immersion program in Pasadena Unified School District is the only school to keep the enrollment numbers this year, while the enrollment number of all other schools are dropping. Majority of students in Temple City Unified School District have a home language other than English. They bring to school rich language and cultural assets that can be further developed to attain bilingualism and biliteracy through the dual language program. There are also school-wide benefits to dual immersion, since all students have exposure to cross-cultural and linguistic experiences. These experiences include, but are not limited to, cultural celebrations. Temple City's Moon Festival celebration is a great event of cultural celebrations. Multicultural arts assemblies, and opportunities to learn and interact with dual language students and acquire target language expressions, all of which result in improved cross-cultural attitudes and competencies. I would suggest collecting data from our community surveys and focus groups to see if there is a strong support for implementing a dual language program. I believe the needs of getting dual language programs are growing, and it's better to start as soon as possible. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other oral communications?
No.
All right, we'll move on to the community update. And I have a few things this evening. First of all, I want to thank the school district for volunteering to have voting locations at 2 of our schools. Cloverly and Temple City High School will be voting locations during this election. And I'm very excited that we're going to be helping provide access so that people can easily vote. Also, I wanted to remind everybody that the Temple City Camellia Festival is conducting their theme contest right now. It's free to enter, and there are cash prizes to the winners. So I encourage everybody all the children to put their thinking caps on and come up with some ideas for a theme for next year's Camellia Festival. The LA County Office of Education Teacher of the Year program is going to be on October 1st at 4 p.m. It'll be a Facebook and Instagram event. And so I want to encourage everybody to watch that. As I mentioned at the last meeting, our November 11th board meeting is on Veterans Day. So we're going to have to cancel that and move it to November 18th. So please note on your calendars, there will not be a meeting on November 11th. It'll be held on November 18th. And finally, I wanted to announce that there is an opening on the Personnel Commission. And chapter 2, section 2.1.2.1, the Board of Education appointment to Personnel Commission. By September 30th, the Board of Education shall publicly announce the name of the person it intends to appoint or reappoint. This position has been posted as a vacancy since September 16th, 2020, and we have received only one applicant, and that is Ms. Gina Aparicio. At this time, it is our intent to appoint Ms. Gina Aparicio. At a board meeting to be held after 30 days and within 45 days of today, September 23rd, 2020, the Board of Education shall hold a public hearing to provide the public, employees, and employee organizations the opportunity to express their views on the qualifications of the person recommended by the Board of Education for appointment. Public hearing will be held at the Board of Education meeting held on October 28th, 2020, which is 34 days from today. The board at that time may make its appointment or may make a substitute appointment or recommendation without further notification or public hearing. And that is all I have tonight for the community up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Two more quick things. I just wanted to point out that this Friday is National Native American Day. Where we recognize all the accomplishments and contributions of our Native Americans. And also we are in the midst of National Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay, that is all I have. And we'll move on to our district updates. Let's start with business services. Mary Ann Sorrell.
Good evening. The district would like to thank some very generous donors. Vicki Lynn donated $1,000 to Emperor for materials and supplies. Kroger donated $51.15 to Emperor for materials and supplies, and Wells Fargo through their Your Cause LLC donated $100 to Emperor. So the total donations were $1,151.15. As Mrs. Georgino just mentioned, the district will be hosting 2 voting sites this year. Because of COVID, the spaces for voting have to be at least 2,000 square feet. So the county came out on September 10th and walked our sites, and they identified 2, one at Cloverly and one at the high school that they will be using. The other thing that's a little bit different this year is voting is from October 30th through November 3rd. So there are multiple days for folks to vote at any of those locations. And it will be weekends. It goes from about 8 in the morning till about 9 o'clock at night. We've also put a link to lavote.net on the website. It's under the Parent Center Community Resources. And this is a place where people can look to find out where they can go and vote. It won't be updated with locations for about 30 days because they're still getting all of that organized. It also lets people find out if they're registered, if they need to change their address. If they haven't registered, they can register directly from that site. Food Services is continuing to provide grab-and-go lunches at the high school, Longden and Emperor 3 days a week. And as you will recall, beginning September 1st, free lunches are available to all children 18 years of age and younger, whether or not they attend the district. Since that time, there's been a nice growth and increase, and we're serving about 725 lunches each day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Educational Services, Hannah Getty.
Good evening. So this past week, as we're moving on, we're still working on LPAC testing. I have to definitely recognize all of our EL coordinators and Dr. Gomez for the amount of work that goes into getting our students to come in person, get those tests done accurately, and move forward with that service so that we can definitely provide the right support for all of our students. We are also continuing the iReady assessments. I think we end on Friday. So as of Friday, our iReady assessments will end, and then teachers will be able to use the information they gather from these assessments to give students the appropriate lessons. And iReady is a program that we use for math and reading, and it really allows our students to be met at their level. So this is one of our areas where we're working on that learning loss, so we can see where students are, and then teachers can consistently watch their progress and make sure that we are providing them the right level of instruction to work at their pace. So we're excited about moving forward with iReady. Within special education, they've been doing a ton of work to get ready for in-person assessments as well as related services. We will start that on Monday. All the safety protocols that they put so much time and effort into with Dr. Katarayan and her team, the plexiglass and everything in place so that those assessments can be done in a very safe environment, as well as all the letters and communication that have gone out to families to give them those options. So that will begin on Monday. We're looking forward to that, to be able to really help any of our students with special needs to make sure that we are able to support them in this very difficult time. Last week, we in the student services area, we were able to hold our first counselor meeting of the year virtually. It was exciting for me. I always love meeting with the counselors. They give me a lot of inspiration and energy. I just can't help but give a shout out to them for how dedicated they are to all the changes, everything that's gone on. They're holding parent meetings. They're working on lessons for the social emotional learning. One thing that we've done really well this year, all sites have really banded together, and the teachers too have joined the counselors in providing the social emotional learning lessons, either through Nearpod or other avenues, Brain Pop, other resources that we rely on to help our students make sure that we're building relationships, that we're connecting with each other, not just focusing on the academic achievement. So our counselors are a big part of that and very grateful for them. In our meeting, we also discussed one of the resources we use is Care Solace. They have added a dashboard feature so the counselors and any of our school psychologists, as well as our admin, can then look and measure and see exactly who's being helped, who's being connected, make sure we're not missing anyone when it comes to mental wellness and getting the support that we need to all of our families. And then lastly, just on the ed tech side, we're continuing to work to grow our product. I will say that the help desk is down to a very slim amount of requests when it comes to any access issues. So that's exciting for all of us. Our teachers have been great resources for feedback as we're able to look at the products that we have purchased and that we have integrated to see how they're working for everyone and how we can make them more user-friendly. We continue to work and negotiate with our curriculum builders, both McGraw-Hill and Hufflin Mifflin. One is for math at the elementary level, and one is for McGraw-Hill does our ELA both actually throughout the whole district. We use Wonders product for elementary, and then StudySync we've been using at the middle and high school level. They too are suffering from COVID drawbacks, so they are getting up to speed with educational technology, and so we are working with them to help improve the product that we provide through Canvas. But moving forward, I will say that, again, we're very excited and commend all of our teachers, counselors, all of our certificated and support staff for making this as easy as a transition as possible. Everybody's very tired. Everybody agrees that the fun of our job has been slightly diminished. And so we're trying to find those fun ways to bring them back. And I think as we move here in a couple of weeks and everybody gets into a routine, we can start to help our teachers with that as well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Personnel Services, Monica Makovitz.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank the Personnel Department and all Juris, Lucy, Lily, for setting up open enrollment with American Fidelity. All permanent staff, the health benefits, whether you need to double check your health benefits, change your health benefits, the link for American Fidelity was sent out to make an appointment. If you are not making any changes, it's just your same coverage rolls over. Please do not hesitate to ask questions. Even if you need the link resent to you, we will send it out. We are in the last few weeks of finishing our mandated reporter training and our anti-harassment training. Both are provided by Targeted Solutions. Again, if anyone's having trouble logging on to Target Solutions, just reach out to me. I will reset the program for you. I am proud to say that we trained over 18 site leadership on the new Title IX laws that went into effect on August 14th. We began our first initial training. It was 3 hours. So now once we have a chance to regroup, we will go into the second round of training. But it was great to meet that federal requirement of getting everyone trained. Last but not least, we welcome our new supervisors of grounds, custodials, and facilities that will start next week. We are also in the final steps of doing onboarding for our Director of Enterprise and Risk Management. I do have to thank the unions and I do have to thank the interview panels. I know it's been a long haul with all the hiring that we've done, but we were able to successfully hire great candidates. And I do want to thank you all for doing that. And that is it for me.
Thank you very much. Next is our bargaining units, and we'll start with TCEA. Kyla, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. CSEA 105, Robin?
Nothing tonight. Please disregard the Disney sounds going in the back. I'm fine tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see Art from CSEA 823. So I assume there's nothing from them. So we'll move on to item 16, which is board member comments. And tonight, Member Nolenberg, it's your turn to go first.
Okay, I didn't attend very many meetings, virtual or distance learning, unfortunately. I just like to thank the superintendent and all the other people who have been working so hard to keep the schools running on schedule for distance learning, and anything else that they can do to help is totally appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'm next in line. I wanted to congratulate La Rosa and Emperor Schools for receiving the iReady Distinguished School for Remote Learning Success Award. Also, I attended Cloverly and the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center back to school nights. And they were both really good, but I was really impressed with the Learning Center's back to school night. They did a very clever thing. They had all the teachers and the staff initially when you got on to the Zoom meeting, and then they had a link that you went to, and it was a map of the school that showed where all the classrooms were, and this is the new campus, and the teacher's name on the building, and then you clicked on it and it took you to a video that the teacher had made. And I thought it was great, very clever way to present their back to school night. So congratulations to all of them. I had observed the Los Angeles County School Trustee Association meeting Monday night. It was about special ed. The program was special ed. I also would like to thank everybody who made donations to the school district in this last period. And finally, I observed a few of the classrooms at Emperor Elementary School, and it was fabulous. It was so heartwarming to see how well the children are doing and how much work the teachers have put into really giving the children a great education. Today I saw their buddy program, where a third grader and a first grader are paired up and they go into a separate room, and the third grader interviews the first grader and reads the first grader a story. And it was super cute and they did so well. I was so impressed. These little first graders are even better at Zoom than we are. So it was really great to see. I appreciate Myra Rudell making the arrangements for me. And I plan to visit some more classrooms because it was so much fun. So that's all I have. Next, we'll move on to Dr. Lynn.
Thank you, Donna. Good evening, everyone. I want to echo Mr. Nolenberg's gratitude of all the hard work our superintendent, assistant superintendents, executive directors, principals, administrators, teachers, counselors, psychologists, support staff, and classified staff. I have nothing to report this evening other than wishing everyone a positive mindset in this new school year with new energies and new hopes for experience and learning new things. We are in a long stretch before any holiday break, and I know a lot of you did not have a summer break at all. So please be mindful and take good care of yourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Next is Member Smith.
Well, Mike left off the parents too.
And parents and students.
I too,
Member Smith?
I too was able to attend the Cloverleaf Back to School night, poked around in some different classrooms for a few minutes here and there. Figured I would go and notice, but I got a very nice thank you note from Mrs. Rivera for me popping into her class. So I wasn't quite as coy as I thought maybe. Thank you to Kim Winter for the presentation tonight about Relay for Life, and really the whole team of people who are involved in putting that program on every year. And it is a team, it's a large group of people. And this year has been different, as is true so many places. And I think they've come up with some good ideas in terms of how to present that, and that because it'll be a virtual relay this year. I had a chance to sit in on a couple of presentations at Emperor for Patriots Day, September 11th. It was very cute. Kids got a chance to share what their idea of a hero was, and talk about how many people are heroes in our community that don't get the recognition they deserve. And then speaking of recognition that's well-deserved, I echo my fellow board members' comments about all the hard work being put in by the superintendent, cabinet staff, and all the school sites, administrators and teachers and parents, everybody trying to make this new situation work. And I think by and large it is. And so that's really nice. And then, I'm also looking forward to seeing the LACO Teacher of the Year broadcast on October 1st. It's kind of a shame. Usually they have a very nice luncheon for them at, help me, Universal Studios. Yeah. Blank. Anyway, and so this will be a little bit different, but it's nice that we'll be able to, I guess, watch it in the comfort of our homes. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Espinosa.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to echo some of the thoughts of Member Lynn in terms of, it's been a long haul. A lot of people have put in a lot of hours and have had a lot of worries. And, we're just starting the actual school year. So just be mindful of your wellness and try to find some peace and some time to yourself so that we can make it through the year with everybody healthy. I also want to thank those that donated since our last meeting. I know all the donations were for Emperor this time around, and I know everyone's very grateful for everybody's generosity, and I know that Emperor will make the most of those donations with their students. In terms of attendance, I attended the Cloverleaf Back to School night, a grad night meeting, PTSA meeting at the high school, and the PTA council meeting last week. So things are underway. Everybody's making the most of what our situation is, and your parent volunteers are still active and ready to do whatever is necessary to support our students. So that's a great feeling and great to know, and hopefully everybody knows that. I wanted to just also say that I'm going to be attending the Temple City High School's post-high school planning session because I actually have a senior, which is shocking to me. So looking forward to that. and I'm also looking forward to continuing our discussions with the TC for Change folks who we've, kind of kept in communication with, and hopefully we can kind of, move forward with some of our ideas. So that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 17 is our student board members' comments. Nicole, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So I just wanted to talk about whether the student board members should be getting the break in the summer. And although like I had the break and it was very nice, it was a little like sad to like miss out on everything. So I personally believe that it's better to have the student board member be included all year round, and that next year hopefully we'll do that. And I think that'll be better so that the student board member learns faster and can get used to the system and how it works better, so that when the school year actually starts, maybe they can contribute more. And I also wanted to talk about the fires that have been happening, because my dad actually brought up to me, I think it's called the Bobcat fire that has affected the Monrovia and Arcadia areas. And I wasn't sure if people in our district are affected by that, because I'm not sure how big our area is, but I don't know if we talked about this before, but I just wanted to see if we could reach out to people if they do like live in those areas and need help. And that's it.
That's very nice. I don't think we have any students in those areas, but we do have staff that do live in those areas. So maybe our superintendent can let us know if there are any staff people that need any kind of assistance. Thank you. And speaking of the superintendent, it's time for your comments, Dr. Fricker.
Good evening. First and foremost, I just want to thank all of the principals and their staffs for a wonderful opening, and also for all of the back to school nights that were had. They were definitely a delight, and it was neat to kind of see what each staff member that I visited was showcasing inside of their classrooms, and how clever our staff is at welcoming families, whether it's in person or virtual. They did a tremendous job. So thank you to all of the staff. We will be featuring some of the standout staff members, volunteer, of course, at a future board meeting in October, just to showcase distance learning, showcase some of the unique things that our staff is providing, how they're working with students, and then how they're bridging this distance learning process that we've all had the journey of going on. So Ms. Hannah Getty is going to work with our staff to bring that presentation in October to all of you. So we look forward to seeing that. And yes, we hope to have some students present as well and kind of give their input of what is going on. So the next step for our Board of Education, now that the school year is rolling, is really to go in and solidify some board goals and priorities. So we will be reaching out to you, Mr. Gino, and setting up some meeting times and dates in order for the board to come together and really shape the district in terms of what it wants to see in the future and how that's going to guide and shape our work. So we will be reaching out to set that up, and we hope to be doing that this fall. We also met with the La Rosa staff. My team and myself met with the La Rosa staff just to discuss the progress that we're making at La Rosa. There is a presentation tonight, and we will be going through some of those things. But I just want to thank the staff for being open and honest and candid. I think that's really important. Feedback is always, always welcome. And we do take their concerns and their questions and their comments seriously. I want to thank the union who has been actively involved throughout that process with us, and we've tried to make every accommodation possible to make them feel as comfortable as they can as we go through this exploratory phase over there at La Rosa. As always, I did share with the La Rosa staff that it is the board's intent, the intention of every single board member, including myself, that the safety of our students and staff is the primary importance to us all. So I hope that I represented all of you very well. With the welcoming of the supervisors of grounds, M&O, and custodial, this is a position that's on the board tonight for approval, and they will be key assets to helping us keep our sites safe, secure, and sanitary. And once those supervisors are in place, we will then go through the process of adhering to the Department of Public Health guidelines on having sanitation schedules, safety schedules, and the extra precautions that we need to put in have been done, but we will continue to do so, and they will elevate as we move towards reopening either in hybrid model or some other model. But we definitely have those people put in place now so that we can actually build towards that process and ensure the campus safety once our staff returns, and then anticipating our students to return. So those are timely positions. So thank you very much. I also want to thank Ms. Myra Riddell for opening up Emperor School for the Assessment Center for Special Education. It's really important that we have one location for the Assessment Center. This is the way that we keep our staff and our students very safe and sound during this process. We know that it is a federal IDEA mandate to have special education assessments be conducted, and we want to make sure that we are in compliance with that. I just want to thank the union for all of their support. We know that this is a difficult transition, but we are committed 100% to the safety of our staff and our students. So having having a principal open up a single school helps us make sure that all of those sanitation processes are put in place and that they're at the maximum potential. So thank you very much for that. Finally, we did have a meeting with TCEA, and I just want to thank Kyla and Christy for just being very open and honest with us about any and all concerns that our staff has or questions our staff has. Even if we don't know the answer, we do try to get a quick turnaround time so that they do get the information back out to their membership as quickly as possible. And on the horizon this year for TCEA in the district is really looking at enrollment and how we can find ways of putting an action plan together to increase our enrollment. So I know that this is a primary concern for us as a district, but it's also a shared concern with TCEA, and we want to keep the highly qualified staff that we have and make sure that that we're doing everything possible to encourage all of our students to come to Temple City. And then, if we can kind of snag a couple from other districts, that wouldn't be bad either. So the last, but not least, I did attend the special education meeting as well. There was a lot of good information. It actually spurred and prompted many of the superintendents in the Los Angeles County area to get together this morning. We had quite a lengthy call, a Zoom meeting today, lasted about 4 hours, and we really discussed ways we can have a louder or more vocal advocacy voice, especially to the county level and then up to the state level. So there is a small committee forming of superintendents that we want to make sure that our staff is very, very safe and sound. We want to make sure that our students are safe and sound, but we want to make sure too that we are fiscally sound as districts. So we do want to come together and find ways to reach out in a civics manner, but have some advocacy to create awareness of the things that all have to come together to run and function as a district, and some of those complexities that cause us, difficulty. There are always ways to overcome and come around, but working together with our lawmakers is definitely one of those veins that we think we are ready to kind of tackle and take on the challenge of. So I will just keep you informed as more of that information comes forward, but I do want you to kind of know where the voices of the superintendents in LA County lie. So with that, that is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 19 is written communications. I don't have any. Does anyone else have a written communication? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 20, which is the facility use fee study. And Marianne Sorrell, I believe, is going to do this report.
Good evening. The district contracted with Eric Hall and Associates to do a facility use fee study. And Bob Nicholson is here this evening with us. He's the vice president of Eric Hall and Associates, and he will be walking everyone through this study. Good evening, Bob. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for that kind introduction. Good evening, Board President Georgino and and Board Trustees, Superintendent Fricker. Thank you for having me tonight. I have been looking forward to this presentation for some time now, and I'm just happy that you were able to get me on the agenda tonight to share with you some information about facility use fees. And this has to do with outside agencies taking time in your facilities and using those facilities for something other than a regular school day purpose. So if I'm able to share my screen, I will bring up this presentation and walk you through this. And I believe I'm sharing. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is about facility use fees. And again, I'm Bob Nicholson by way of introduction. I've been with Eric Hall since 2009, but prior to that, I was a senior director at the San Diego County Office of Education, and I ran the facility planning and finance department for the county. We provided services to some 43 districts here in the San Diego region, and we reached out and actually provided services beyond the boundaries of San Diego County on issues such as the use of facilities and the impact that that had to districts. So the process behind this is that we conduct these studies on a basis of when the laws come about, when the laws change, and the types of changes that the law makes. So in this particular instance, the law was developed as the Civic Center Act under Education Code 38134, and it was to sunset this year in January. It was extended by legislation through a bill 1303, Assembly Bill 1303 through January of 2025. So anytime that the legislature goes through a process of updating things, that would cause us to need to update the facility fee study and to revise the way that these fees are charged based on the rents that are collected for similar use of similar facilities throughout the state of California, but more importantly, in your local community. So this has to do with the cost of ownership. So you own your facilities, and your facilities, when they are used by other entities, will need some care and love, if you will. And so it takes time for your staff to prepare those places. And then after somebody has used it, it takes time for your staff to go back and make sure that the space is ready for the next school day. The cost of ownership includes inflationary increases as well as cost of living increases by legislation. And these reports are generally updated when needed on an annual basis. And it's highly recommended that under your board policy 1330 and your administrative regulation 1330, that those be reviewed on an annual basis to ensure that everything is still within what you desire as a board and a district to have for the use of your facilities by other entities. So the Civic Center Act and facility use fees apply to every public school facility. And you are considered a Civic Center Act wherever citizens may meet. So anytime that citizens can come to a facility and be part of a process within that facility, that makes that facility a civic center. Districts have an opportunity to elect whether or not they're going to charge fees for outside use of their facilities. For example, if there was a dance performance and somebody wished to use the stage in one of your MPRs, multi-purpose rooms, then you would want to at least recover the cost of what it takes to maintain that facility over time, because now that facility is being used beyond the regular school use. This is the Education Code section. This is where governing boards are looked to authorize the use of their facilities or the grounds to any nonprofits. And you may charge an amount that is not to exceed the direct costs for use of school facilities or grounds. So you have to do a calculation that determines what is the cost for the use of that facility and then recover the direct cost for that use. If you charge an admission fee and it's not for the welfare of your students or charitable purposes, the fair rental value is what is calculated and used to be charged for that particular use. So here again is the Senate Bill 1404 and Assembly Bill 1303 that amended Senate Bill 1404 and the Education Code that governs this process, Education Code 38134. And it removed some of the limitations of the facility use for processes where an alternative location is no longer available or not available. Direct cost scopes are expanded to include more than just your operational costs. So this is the cost of maintenance and replacement. And capital direct costs are added to non-classroom space only. So classroom space is calculated a bit differently than the capital direct costs for other space that is not classroom oriented. The capital direct costs are defined as proportional shares of maintenance, repairs, restoration, the refurbishment, and the use of those grounds and facilities. And then those funds would be deposited into a special fund, meaning that these funds are restricted for the purposes and uses of the facilities that you own rather than in the general fund for general fund uses. The fee calculator data came to us through your information, and it has a direct relation to your most current year-end unaudited actuals. The team of EH&A extracted this from your most current compiled file of all of the information about your district financials, normally called a DAT file. The file was converted to an Excel document, and then we used pivot tables to extract district coded facilities data for 8,000 across all funds. This data was then validated. We made some assumptions to develop and create various percentages splits on utilities, allocation of each utility account to buildings and fields, hourly rates for various classifications, number of operating days and plant hours, administrative allocation, plant and kitchen allocations, and benefit factors to be applied. The schedule is derived based on the number of hours and participants for each request. So when somebody requests that they use a classroom, it is calculated based on that particular request for that particular participant. The hourly fee schedule that I will show you shortly is based on numerous factors relative to the facility request, and breakdown is based on an hourly rate. Input factors on the master fee schedule determine the amount of charges to be applied to each of the facility requests. So these are your fees currently. This is what you are charging for the use of any of these facilities. So for classrooms, you charge $5.97 hourly rate for the indoor use of those facilities. For basketball fields, you're charging $25.34 per hour of use. So if there was some event that was a basketball event, a tournament of some sort, then you would charge that group $25.34 per hour. The new fees are these fees based on the proposed rates. And on the far left-hand column are a description of the fee. And then in the center of this are three different levels. So if you look at this from that second column, level 1, that is generally for free use. So you would have some people that you would not charge for the use of the facility. And in many cases, that may be a church entity or some other group that is a public service group of some type. Then in the center, you have direct cost users. So for the fee for the application per hour, you would charge a direct use fee of $29.64. For a classroom, $1.54 per hour. The library, $11.37, so on and down to the outdoor rates that vary. Then there are fair rental users. So you have a third column there. And then again, we list your current charges for these fees. So from a perspective of what do you do now and what is the next way to go with this, you would want to review your facility use agreements. You probably have a few of these that are renewable type use agreements, and you would want to review your current methodology of charging the fee. You would want to review and revise your use approval process. So you do have an online application, and I have reviewed that. The application looks to cover everything that we are talking about tonight. I'm not suggesting that it needs to be revised, but you may want to consider aligning it with the current fee charges. And there are blanks on that form, so it would be simple to just enter the information necessary. And then prioritize the use of your facilities. So the current pandemic has changed the way that we look at this and the way that we are using facilities. And there's not been, in my experience throughout the entire state of California for that matter, there have not been a lot of facility use requests. It's really declined. But there still are some entities that have appropriate social distancing processes and policies. And because of COVID, I would suggest that the district have some type of policy for managing COVID and managing the process of anyone who is allowed to use a facility, should you allow them to use your facility, that has sign-in for tracking and tracing purposes. And so that you know who was there, when they were there, and any other challenges that may result from the use of these facilities by outside entities. And then a district calendar for use of any of your site facilities. And with that, that is pretty much the end of my presentation. And if you have questions, I'm available tonight to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions?
I have some comments.
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
Thank you very much for doing the study. I was very pleased to see the numbers shake out much closer to what they traditionally were up until 5 or 6 years ago. When this subject first came up, I guess it was probably over a year now, I went and looked around to some of the other districts in the area to see what they had. And I was really impressed with the way San Gabriel Unified School District has their facility use process, application process set up all online. All the information you could want in terms of what you need to provide and whatnot. The only disappointment is that it doesn't appear to have been used since 2012, 2013. But it's a really, that little detail aside, I think it'd be a really good example of what we could strive to do. And I would also point out that because it's something that anybody can access and apply for online, that may lower or negate the $29 fee we have to process that manually. Anyway, I encourage anybody and everybody to go to San Gabriel. It's under the calendar.
Me too.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions or comments? Okay, well then we'll move on to, thank you very much, Bob. We appreciate it. We'll
You're
move
very
on
welcome.
to
Thank
item
you.
21, which is the La Rosa site update. Marianne, that's you again.
Good evening. Ben Kohlmeyer, the Chief Science Officer of Forensic Analytical Consulting Services, will be joining us to give us an update of the La Rosa project. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening. Thank you, Marianne. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give a quick update on what has transpired since we last chatted, and then the three next action steps we're planning on taking. So since last I spoke to you, we've completed the follow-up inspection. Without going to everything that we looked at, the significant finding that emerged from that assessment was we conducted some invasive or destructive inspection in an area where we saw some minor water staining, and we pulled down some molding strips up by the ceiling in a set of rooms that had this particular construction condition where we saw minor staining that we believe is occurring due to condensation. In doing that, we did find some mold growth that was present. I'm going to, if I can, share my screen. Looks like I can. And see if I can share the right ones here, get zoomed down. Can we all see my screen here with a picture?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is, these are the front windows of classrooms. This is in classroom 6 where we began our, began and ended our inspection because we did find something. So this is where a window blind would typically sit. This is open to the ceiling area. Staining, you can't see it in this photo, but there's a low level of staining present along this edge. There is a metal piece that normally sits here that this wood molding strip is affixed to. And so we saw the staining. We believe it is warm, moist air in the attic space hitting the cold metal that is made cold from the air conditioning in the room, causing and condensation forming and some moisture impact along this edge. What the strip looks like, see if I could pull this off. All right, it's going to challenge me a little bit. Just did the picture change?
No.
Okay, so I got to stop share and then share again here. Okay. Work with so many online systems. I got to remember which one works which way. So when the molding strip came out, you can see where it was cut away here with the assistance of your maintenance department. And so this is where the piece was removed. This is what we believe is mold growth that's associated with some dust and moisture that's accumulated on this metal piece. And then the next photo, give me a moment. Just a little routine here. Pull up that picture, maximize that, stop share and reshare. It's probably a better way to do it, but we're almost done with this one. So, so this is what the back side of that molding looked like. So this is the edge that touched the metal. You could see where the moisture staining has occurred here. We believe this is the mold growth present. So based on our inspection, we assume that that's present in all the rooms where that condition exists, which is pretty much all the rooms. So we had a plan, or have a plan, to go and conduct remediation, which I will speak to in a moment. We had a meeting where we shared our findings with the occupants, this and the other findings on site. Through the conversation, it became apparent that there were still some there was concern about this and further documentation of this condition. There was concern about continuing to probe and maybe look and do some exploratory work to try to find something to create a further sense of some sense of security that this has been thoroughly investigated. I appreciated the honest feedback of the occupants and questioning what we were doing and why, and more than happy to have that discussion. What emerged from that is an agreement to conduct some further assessment in a set of study rooms and some additional specific cited areas from the meeting. And from that meeting, we decided, since we're going out to do this, we'll just collect some confirmatory sampling of things we'd sampled before to develop a more robust data set. Kind of the occupants said, can we do more? Can we dig deeper into this? And we came up with a plan working with the occupants of what would be reasonable to dig into further. So that takes us to what we're doing next. The The next 3 steps we're going to be taking are tomorrow, and we're going to do that additional assessment in the 4 study rooms where health concerns had primarily been expressed, as well as other areas I mentioned. We are going to be going into one of the rooms in question and cutting away another piece of the molding strip to document that it's there. We are at this time assuming it is there. When we do that tomorrow, we've invited, it's my understanding that employee representatives will be present to observe the work out there tomorrow. And so we're happy to do that. The next step after that would be to proceed with the remediation plan that was discussed. In an abundance of caution, kind of going one step above what's called for from the guidance, we're elevating things 1 level in that abundance of caution. So the remediation contractor will be setting up containment or plastic sheeting to isolate the area where the work is being done. It'll be placed under negative pressure. We're going to remove those strips in question. Those materials will be documented during removal by the remediation contractor. We will then show up at the end of each day. They're going to place the materials in a bag. We're going to show up at the end of each day to view and document those materials. And during that process, we'll be coordinating to have employee representatives present as well, and those materials will be sampled. And then following the completion of that removal, we will be doing a visual inspection to ensure it's all been cleaned appropriately, as well as after some air scrubbing, allow for what we call clearance or post-remediation assessment samples to be collected within the containment to show that it's been cleaned up properly before the plastic comes down. The third item that we're going to be doing is after that remediation has been completed and done, we're then going back to the 4, what we term study rooms where the primary health complaints have been expressed. And we're going to do some longer term robust air sampling. The goal of that is to try to elucidate if there is in fact any unknown hidden mold reservoirs that we have not been able to find based on reported histories and observation. And look at that data, provide a further measure of assurance to the occupants that everything that can reasonably be done has been done to ferret out any mold issues that are present at the site. So that's it in a little more than a nutshell, I think, and I'm happy to answer any questions people may have.
Does anyone have any questions? I have one. You mentioned you're going to do long-term air sampling. What is long-term considered? Like how long do you do?
Yeah, fair question. I should give some context on that. So typically when we do occupational exposure assessment, we sample full shift to capture the variability throughout the day. With the typical kind of standard of care mold air sampling that's done, they are short snapshots, about 10 to 7 minutes that are collected. And when you do that, you end up with a lot of variability in your results. So when I say longer term, we are planning to use a different type of sampling and analysis methodology that enables us to collect samples over the course of a full shift. So essentially a full school day, which we'll be doing it with HVAC or ventilation system running. And what we're trying to do is capture, as things fluctuate up and down throughout the course of the day, kind of get that full day snapshot. So that's kind of a step up than what is typically done in your typical routine mold assessment, are typically snapshots taken at different times. We're going to be doing a couple snapshots during the day, but also running samples through the whole time. And it gets more complex from that, in terms of how we look at the data. We'll also be taking surface tape lists for settled dust. But it's, if I characterize it, it's if there's the normal kind of typical what is done on a mold assessment in terms of air sampling, we're going a level up to capture some of that, as we had shared with the occupants, would be appropriate for doing this type of sampling to try to catch a hidden problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there other questions or comments? Yes, Matt.
I guess I have a question for Mary Ann. I'm assuming that the bulk of the cost to do all this work and the remediation will be covered through one of our JPAs. Is that correct?
I have reached out to them and we are looking at it. It'll depend on the total expense. We have about a $25,000 SIR but they're aware that we're doing this, and I'll be working with them for that.
Okay, good.
And I should say, I've also worked. One of the most important things, when looking at it is if we'd identified this mold growth is how do we make sure it doesn't come back? And so your maintenance and operations director, Anthony, is actually come up with, we had gone in with an initial suggestion of how we might stop that condensation from occurring, and he's found some even better alternatives that he's exploring. So he will be leading the charge on making the modifications to the building to ensure this doesn't just come back again. So.
And do you have those samples tested? Has that happened yet, or is that something that's going to happen?
We've collected some surface tapeless samples, which are typically done out of some duct work and off of those molding strips. The results off the molding strips, it didn't confirm weren't definitive to say this is mold growth, although visually it was very apparent what it was. So when we do that follow-up assessment tomorrow, we will collect plenty of samples. I'll be sending a hunk of it to the lab to get that confirmation. That's part of the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, as well as going back into the ventilation systems that didn't reveal a condition. But there's a lot of concern about that in the occupants. So we decided, actually following the meeting, we said, you know what, we're going back. We're here. They want an extra measure of assurance. So let's just do another round to provide that data.
Okay. And you provide that information to the staff?
Yeah, we're sharing it all as we develop it. Typically we gather all this up and it's shared as we go, and then we'll pull it all together and provide the sampling results, photographs, write-ups, kind of in one giant closing report that says, here's what we did, here's what we found. And that's just a little more practical than spitting out piecemeal reports along the way. But we do share every time we get findings, we, throw together an occupant meeting, say, here's what's going on, here's what we found. And the staff has been quite vocal, and that's appreciated because we resolve these issues by having people speak up, get their concerns on the table so that we can address them. So.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Were there other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Ben, for attending our meeting. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. Hopefully you won't see me much anymore after we get this solved. So thank you all. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Item 22 is the COVID-19 funding update, and that's you again, Marianne.
Okay, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do tonight is give everyone an overview of all the sources of funding that are related to COVID that we're getting from either the federal government or the state. So this is a matrix of where all the funding is coming from. I'm going to start at the top left. The first one is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund that is referred to as ESSER. And from that funding, we're going to receive $693,000. And we can use it for any expenses from March 13th of 20 through the end of September 30, 22. So we have that period of time. And in a minute, we'll go through which each fund can pay for. The next one is the Learning Loss Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund, and that is year funding. And we're getting $245,000 there, and it has that same time frame that we can spend that money. The next group is called the Learning Loss Corona Relief Fund, or CRF, and it's made up of 3 components. The first one is there's a calculation based on your students with disabilities. For that, we'll receive $790,000. That has to be spent by December 30th of 2020. The next piece of CRF is based on supplemental and concentration grants, and for that, we'll get $1,356,000. And again, that has to be spent by the end of December. And the last piece of the CRF is based on our LCFF calculation. And for that component, we will be receiving $367,000. The total from those is, and including the Prop 98 at the bottom that also has to be spent by December, is $2,963,000. And then the second up is the COVID relief fund from Senate Bill 117. It's $95,000, and there's no end date or time limit on spending those funds. So the ESSER funds that we have until 22 to spend are giving principals extra resources that they identify that they need something in particular at their site. Unique needs of English learners, minorities, students with homelessness, foster care, those types of students. Long-term planning for long-term closures for the IDA requirements, which we were discussing earlier tonight, the clinic that's been put in at Emper to help with those students. Professional development, any purchases for sanitizing and cleaning the facilities, educational technology, mental health, summer learning activities. The last line I have there is equitable services to private schools in Temple City. So the private schools have rights to a portion of the ESSER money. There's still some debate between the county offices and Sacramento exactly how that's going to be calculated. They've given us calculations, but then said, wait, hold on, we need some more discussion. So once that's determined, my initial estimate is about $24,000 between this fund and the other. They do have to coordinate everything through Dr. Gomez. So it isn't as if the private school can do professional development or purchase materials and then ask for reimbursement. They have to purchase, we have to do the purchase for them or contract the service for them. The next funding is gear funding, and that again is through the end of September of 22. It's learning supports, extending instructional time for students, extra core academic support, again, support for teaching and technology, student and staff technology, mental health, professional development, student nutrition. And again, this gear fund, as with the ESSER fund, there is a portion available to the 2 private schools in Temple City. The CRF learning loss total for this portion is $2,513,000. And this is the more important one and that we're focused on because of the time limit. So far, we've spent about $400.
I can't hear Mary Ann anymore.
I can't
Yeah,
either.
we lost her voice.
I don't think she realizes it.
Go. My computer keeps putting the F8 and the F5 on. I apologize. So the software is about $440,000 for distance learning. Certificated professional development about $75,000. Classified, it's about $37,000 at this point, but there will be more in September. That's primarily related to getting the devices ready for distribution to students. We've spent about $1,500,000 on devices that have been ordered and received, and we have some additional orders that are going to be placed this week. About $80,000 for staff tech, about $175,000 for grades 1 and 2. And then for some additional devices for Oak, about $630,000. And in late October, I'll bring you another update of what has actually been spent to keep you up to date on how we're doing.
Mary Ann, we lost the amount that you said we've spent so far of this CRF.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're about $2,600,000 at this point. So we're well on our way, and that's including the orders that will be going in this week.
Marianne, quick question. When we say
Sure.
we spend it by December 30th of this year, can we encumber that cost, or do we have to actually spend it?
We can't. It's very frustrating, and we're sending letters to Sacramento because it's really difficult. There's challenges with getting technology because everyone's buying devices right now. So we've got that struggle. You know, every school is trying to do the same thing, and you have to have purchased it, paid for it, and received it by December 30th.
And there's a shortage.
And there's a
devices
shortage.
right now.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Every Thursday we have a business call with LACO, and all of us, talk about this and say, this is ridiculous. If at least let it be just the orders are in something, but so far nobody's budging. But our group's working really hard to get things moving, and we're making good progress so far, but we'll keep you posted.
Okay.
So the last component is the state COVID funds, which is about $96,000. It has no time limit at all. So these, of course, are funds that we'll spend at the very last because they're least restricted and we have a lot of options. And it's food, nutrition, PPE, cleaning, and always materials and devices to support distance learning. So this Prop 98 money, which is also state money, is $450,000 that needs to be spent by December 30th as well. And it's the same kind of items that you can purchase. Most of them are. It's just broken up into pods based on how they determine how much money each district gets. So we've got our eye on it really hard. Technology is working very hard, as well as Ed Services, to make sure that we have everything. Facilities, of course, is very focused on the sanitation, and food service on providing students with the nutrition that they need at this point in time. So that's a quick overview. And as I mentioned, I'll keep coming back with updates for you of what's been spent and what's on order.
Question
Thank
for
you. Does
you.
anyone have any questions?
I do, it's Melissa.
Okay.
For any of this funding that we received, can we leverage it to purchase some of the curriculum adoptions that we need, because they have to be electronic, not all of our curriculums are electronic.
Right, so it can be for anything that supports distance learning. So it can be curriculum that's helping support district learning. One thing we're really going to have a nice advantage this year is some of the things like Canvas and Nearpod and Big Blue Button, all those kinds of items that normally, we would have to use district funds for. We can use this money to pay for those during this year.
And I just want to add in and chime in that we did go back with some of the adoptions that were recently purchased, but were not purchased in a digital format. And then we were able to purchase those digitally so that we would have access. And that is included in the accounting that Marianne provided.
Great, thank you.
So I have a comment and a question. So Marianne, this is very well organized. My question is, how many of these funds are where they'll give us the money as opposed to we spend our current money and then we get reimbursement?
Well, there's always that part with the state and the feds, and they tell you, we're going to give you this much money, but you don't always get it right away. We've received a very small portion of it so far. And that's something we're still waiting. We get updates each week when the cash is actually going to come into the district. So I will add that for you in the next one to keep you posted on that.
Okay, I just know, with IDEA, they promise 40%, but we get less than 10%.
That's
and if we start spending all this money and we're rushing to, purchase all these devices, and we can't encumber it, right? And then they're like, right, well, you're not getting the money. That's possible too.
Well, our understanding is that it's being sent to the state, and then once the state has it, it moves down to each county office, and then the county office presses it out to the districts. But I will keep you posted. I'm always concerned about that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for that report. Item 23 is our annual personnel update. Dr. Makovitz is going to do that for us.
Yes, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. So each year we do a brief Cliff Note version of a personnel update, a snapshot into our department. The first thing I want to start with is our staffing information. Every year, the California Department of Education gathers data from all school districts and reports out on demographics of staff. So this is based on 1920 data, and we will have the 2021 data soon. But right now we have, it goes over degrees above Bachelor of Arts and Science. As you can see, our teachers not only love teaching, but they love going to school. We are a district that staff stays for pretty much all their career. Our average years of service in the district are 16, and average years of service total is 16, and average years in the district is 15. Staff numbers, total employees, that number seems high, 1,033, but that's all our, part-times, the people we contract out with. in terms of permanent employees, we have 273 certificated employees, and classified employees, we have 251. For our wellness staff, last year we had 13 counselors, 7 psychologists, 1 district registered nurse, and 6 psych vocational nurses. You know, we have added to that wellness staff, which I will get to in a little bit. Our staffing demographics, again, reported by the California Department of Education. It's separated by classified and certificated staff. So we have the following percentages. I am at 46 Hispanic Latino for classified, 34% white, and 12% Asian. Filipino is 2%, African American is 3%, and 2 or more races is 3%. For certificated staff, a little different. We're at 58% white, 19% Hispanic Latino, Asian 21%, Filipino 1%, and 2 or more races 1%. Our certificated staff hiring process, I know we posted this on the website to give people a brief understanding of the steps. We as a site leadership and district leadership staff work with the unions to identify staffing needs. We submit the personnel transaction requests. Position is advertised per our contract. We screen and interview the candidates. We offer selection of employment. We go for board approval, and then we do onboarding for success. For classified, it's a little bit different because we are a merit district, and we are governed by the rules of the Personnel Commission. Again, identify staffing needs. We do the personnel transaction request. We advertise the position. We screen and test candidates. We interview candidates, and there is at least 2 rounds, and then we offer selection offer employment. It goes to both the Personnel Commission and the board for approval, and then onboarding for success. This year, we've had a lot of projects in the personnel department and a lot of ongoing projects. We completed a year-long classified job study. We updated hiring procedures. We have the on-flow workflow set up with Helios, which is all set up. We just need to train. We finished the Merit Academy training for the Personnel Commission. In process, we are working on our plan for our classified salary study, conducting the training for the online workflow. The handbooks are finished, but we need to work with the unions on revising them and updating them and getting approval, and then we'll bring them to board. And then we will start the process of certificated job description revisions in a process similar to the classified study. There's less, so we can handle it internally, but it's just as important to update those certificated job descriptions and work with TCEA on that. Retirees, I know this is kind of small, but I'm gonna go over to the one side. On certificated, we non-management, 19 people retired, and we had to, and out of those 19, we replaced 8. Classified management, 6, we only had to replace the 1. Classified management confidential, we didn't have to replace any there. The estimated salaries and benefits saved is 106, 392 for the 1 person in classified management that we didn't have to replace. But if you take a look at the overall estimated savings for salary and benefits, and it is an average, is about 1.2. Other staffing reductions that we had are the goals teacher with the elimination of the goals program, about 80,000, and the assistant superintendent of educational services, about 180. And a special education department clerk 3, we moved to a school site to replace a retirement. So that was about a savings of about 71,000. We've hired a number of staff. We've hired 19 teachers. We've hired a designated instructional services counselor, DIS counselor, a coordinator of student data and integrated technology, 2 of our current teachers became our teachers on special assignment. 1 of our teachers became a counselor for our SAI students at the high school. We hired a behavior intervention specialist, and we promoted the 3 current directors to executive directors. For classified hires, I know classified hires, we continue to hire ongoing, but some of the main changes are supervisor of custodial grounds and facilities. We hired a new director of fiscal and a director of enterprise and risk management. We also, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will finalize all the classified study changes from the CPS. Marianne is working hard to determine the final cost of these, and we will have those in the next month to come. Now, Tamar and Mercedes had input on this in this presentation. The special education changes and savings. We consolidated our non-public agencies, our NPAs, to improve quality, consistency, and financial savings. If you take a look at the programs that we consolidated, you have speech and language, physical therapy, instructional aids. We trained to become behavior support aides. We eliminated the NPA behavior support contract, and we hired a behavior intervention aides and behavior behavior intervention support specialists to supervise the aides. We trained our existing special ed aides. We converted 17 special education aides to behavior intervention aid positions, and you can see their hourly rate. And the approximate savings on that is 131. We've also designated a room at Emperor that Dr. Fricker was talking about before for assessments and related services. And we eliminated services from an NPA on that, which is anticipated savings is between 8 and 10,000. We created the adult transition program. We serve 11 students between the ages of 18 and 22. Each student costs approximately 30,000, so we're at 330,000 for that. Teacher cost is about 118, aid cost is about 37, curriculum is under 1,500, cost for equipment is about 5,600, and approximate savings, because we are now holding the program within our school district, is 172. We also conducted an IEP audit to determine staff training needed, and that was no cost. In terms of training from personnel, just a quick review. We've had COVID-19 training at the beginning in March to educate our staff on safety. We are currently finishing our mandated reporter and anti-harassment training. Our Title IX training we started a couple days ago, and we are planning professionalism and customer service in the workplace in the fall. In-person services for students. We right now we have the LA County Public Health has approved in-person services for specialized groups. TCUSD has worked in conjunction with TCA to make accommodations for in-person services. And these services are currently providing the English language EL assessments, the LPAC, and then the TCUSD will also begin providing special education services and assessments at the end of the month.
Those are tests.
Special education assessments, just to give you a little brief background on that. We administer to students to determine special education eligibility or as part of the IEP process. It's conducted with a one-on-one assessor, including classroom observations. Parents electronically sign the assessment. Compliance timeline is 15 days to issue an assessment plan and 60 days to complete the assessment protocol. Our current process is Temple City provides a COVID action plan in order to safely participate in an IEP-related assessment. The action plan has been created to maximize the health, safety, and well-being of students, faculty, and staff, and all persons entering the assessment center. For our LPAC testing, which are English language proficiency assessment for California, it's administered to students to determine English learner status, must be completed within 30 days of a student's start of school, and typically completed one-on-one for grades TK through 2nd and in group setting for grades 3 through 12. All testing is one-on-one. EL coordinators have been working very hard and responsible for make and schedule appointments, ensure safety precautions and testing protocols are followed at all times. And we currently have over 150 students have been tested and more will come. Just our safety precaution overview, participant screening, all individuals, students, parents, testers will have their individual temperature checked. We have a health pre-screening questionnaire will be completed and all hands are sanitized. The protective gear that will be used are all participants must wear a mask. The test examiner wears a face shield, and plexiglass dividers are used between the student and examiner. We have minimized contact to the designated testing area. Personal items can't be brought into the testing room, and the testing area is thoroughly disinfected after each test or use. These are just some safety guideline posters that we have for the special ed assessments coming in. We have the drop-off procedures, we have the education and evaluation, the safety procedures, and then what happens after. So we're gonna have these posted, and to the right of the screen, you'll see the safety health assessment check that will ask the people entering a short questionnaire to be completed. Okay, I would like to open it up for questions.
This is Melissa. I don't have a question. I just have a comment that this is a really comprehensive, well put together presentation. The personnel team is small and mighty,
yes,
to get all this work done. So thank you, and kudos to the team and to you, Monica, for all the work.
Okay, I will pass it on to the team. I know they've been working really hard and they would appreciate your words, so thank you.
I want to echo what Melissa just said. You know, I just want to say that I'm very impressed with the quality and comprehensive content of this presentation. It also communicates the level of professionalism and quality of work that is involved in the personnel department. I don't know how many hours it took the department and Monica, but I want to thank you for the transparency you provided in your presentation.
And I do have to thank Dr. Gomez and Dr. Catarayan. I mean, staffing special ed and making sure LPAC testing and those safety requirements. It was a team effort. As you could see, we got a little bit more colorful with the PowerPoint. It might be the elementary strand coming through on some of us. So we do appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 24, which is to adopt resolution 2021-05, proclaiming October as Character Education Month and Month of the Young Adolescents, and observing Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through 31, 2020. Dr. Fricker, do you have anything to add to this?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, can I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by member Espinosa, second by member Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this?
Actually, I have a comment. I don't know
go
how many.
ahead.
I don't know how many people know this or remember this, but Red Ribbon Week was a fallout of a DEA agent that was kidnapped by a Mexican gang and brutally tortured and murdered back in the 80s. And his name was Enrique Camarera. And I think it's important to mention his name, as he gave his life for the fighting of drugs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
You're okay.
Member Espinosa?
Yeah.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So the motion carries 5-0. Item 25 is adopt resolution 2021-06, proclaiming the week of October 11th through the 17th, 2020 as the week of the school administrator. And Dr. Fricker, do you have anything to add to this?
Nope, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second?
I'll
I'd
make
like
a,
to make a motion.
Motion by member Smith,
I'll
second by, was it member Nolenberg? Okay, any questions or comments on this? I'll just say we thank our school administrators for all the hard work they do. Okay, member Smith,
Yes.
member Espinosa,
Yes.
you know, I apologize, Nicole. I'm supposed to be calling your name on these. Time out, everybody. Nicole, would you like to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, you're a yes. Okay, I apologize. All right, I'm sorry. Let's go at this again. Member Smith?
Yes.
Okay, member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I am a yes. And member Nolenberg?
yes,
Motion carries 5-0. And Nicole, if I ever do that again, please feel free to interrupt, okay? I apologize. Item 26 is to receive board policies for second reading and approve. We have board policy 4040, employee use of technology. Board policy 4112.21, interns. Board policy 4112.23, special education staff, that's to be deleted. Board policy 4112.24, teacher qualifications under the No Child Left Behind Act, that is to be deleted. Board policy 4112.25, vocational education ROP staff, that is to be deleted. Board policy 4112.6, personnel files, that is to be deleted. Board policy 4112.9, 4212.9, 4312.9, employee notifications. Board policy 4113, assignments. And board policy 4113.4, 4213.4, and 4313.4, temporary modified light duty assignment. Okay, is there any report on this or anything?
Just, Donna, just an update. I do want to, I appreciate the,
There you are.
oh, sorry. Sorry, we're still sharing. I appreciate the comments that were sent regarding any questions. We try to find the answer as quickly as possible regarding wording or case law or legal code. I know we are playing catch up with our board policies. So at any time, if we need to pull one from the list to rewrite it in any way, just let me know, and I will find time with Dr. Fricker and the team to set that up. So just I know the words from the CSBA, you know, they kind of dictate how it's worded, but I want to make sure I'm, you know, addressing everyone's concerns if there's wording that the team would like to change.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's see, can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion by member Smith, second by member Nolenberg.
Yes,
Did you second it, Ken?
yes.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions or comments on these? All right, Nicole, your vote, please. I think Nicole's frozen, huh? Can you hear me? Oh, there we go.
Muted. You're muted,
Nicole?
She is frozen.
She looks frozen.
There you go.
Oh, she's
There, okay. Nicole, your vote?
She's muted.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, okay, there we go. All right, member Espinosa,
Yes.
member Lynn,
Yes.
I am a yes, member Nolenberg,
Yes,
Yes.
member Nolenberg,
yes.
and he said yes? Okay, and member Smith?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Item 27 is to approve the learning continuity and attendance plan required by Senate Bill 98, Section 43509. And Dr. Makovitz, do you have any report
No.
for us?
I know this is the second read on this, but I do have to say this was a group effort by all our stakeholder groups, including our students, parents, and families. The race that we were in to provide a high quality distance learning model, this is the Cliff Note version, the 42-page Cliff Note version. It pretty much outlines everything that we're doing, all the work Dr. Getty did with Student Support Services, all our strategic planning with the Superintendent's Committee, the Technology Committee, input from the original LCAP group, from the DLAT group. You know, we try to take input wherever we can. I know Hannah sent numerous surveys out to get the pulse on staff, students, and parents. So I tried to do all that work justice in a short amount of time in this plan. It is marked draft because unfortunately we are only in the first weeks of distance learning, just like every other school district. And there will have to be revisions to it as we go into a hybrid model or full person and back to instruction. So this plan is definitely a work in progress. It will be submitted as a draft, and then they will come back and ask us what our next steps are. We did have a chance to put the plan in early and to get some feedback. And most of our feedback is this: they wanted me to change opening of school plan to learning and continuity plan. And then they wanted me just to kind of duplicate certain strategies we are using in multiple areas. So the plan hasn't changed, it just got a little bit longer. But again, we will revisit in the next few months as we hopefully go to out of distance learning and into a different model, but that is yet to come. And again, I do have to thank everybody that was involved in this plan because it truly was a group effort.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Member Lynn, second by Member Espinosa. Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I would like to make a comment. I want to acknowledge the work that Monica has done to compile this with the input of multiple stakeholders in such a short amount of time. Normally the LCAP is due on December 15th. And this year, the deadline is September 30th. And with a new template, new requirements, and new compliance measures. So thank you, Monica, for being the lead writer and ensuring that the district met the deadline.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'd like to second the Mr. Lynn's comments.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, anything else? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Nicole?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I am a yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
And Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. The plan is approved. Item 28 is to approve the application for Career Technical Education Incentive Grant. And is that Hannah?
Yep, thank you. So each year we have, since 2016, we have been applying for the Career Technical Education Incentive Grant. Each year we've increased the increments that we've not only received, but then also that, of course, is tied to the match that we provide. And this going into this year, they have moved up the deadline much sooner. It used to be a January deadline. Last year, they had moved it to November. And then with about 2 weeks notice, they told everyone it's going to be due in September. So many people, my counterparts at all different districts, were running around trying to figure out how to get it done. And, you know, it's a very difficult, unfortunately, a difficult area of education right now because so much of CTE learning, career technical education, is hands-on. and you want your students in place, teachers want to be able to interact with them, or the materials they need, devices they need are such high level that it's not something that can necessarily be provided at home. So those are some struggles that our teachers have been so creative to get around and really continue to support their students. So we're just asking for permission to go ahead and reapply for this grant. I believe based on the numbers that Marianne gave me, we're asking for a little bit less than what we had asked for last year. And that would make our match actually a little bit less as well. And it's based on a number of things, and it's based on funds that I know that we still have, as well as enrollment and other factors. So that's what we're asking to be able to apply for here in September.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Motion by member Espinosa, second by member Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, Nicole, how would you vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, let's see, I am a yes. Member Nolenberg,
Yes.
member Smith,
Yes.
member Espinosa,
Yes.
and member Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Item 29A is to receive the report for the GAN limit for 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 fiscal years. And Marianne, I believe you're doing that for us.
Yes. Can you see the report?
Yes.
So in November of 1979, the California electorate adopted Proposition 4 that is commonly referred to as the GAN Amendment, and it added Article 8B to the California Constitution. The provision of the article establishes a maximum amount of appropriation, commonly called the GAN limit, for public agencies, including school districts. So one of the reports that we have to prepare each year as we close the books is our GAN calculation for 2019-20 based on actuals, and then our projection based on the 2021 budget. So this is the report, and it is part of the unaudited actual. Oops, did you lose it? There we go. It's part of the unaudited actuals, part of the SACS report that is provided to the county and also to the state of California. And we are in compliance, and we are within the maximum appropriation limits for both years.
Thank you. Let's see, can I get a motion and a second to receive the report?
I make a motion to accept the report.
I'll second.
Motion by member Nolenberg. I'm sorry, who's the second?
Me, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Second by member Lynn. Are there questions or comments? Marianne, do we always do 2 years at a time?
It's a requirement by the state that you give your, as you close your books for 1 year, and then you give the projection for the next year.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on this. Nicole? I think she froze again. Nicole? Nicole?
Yes.
Can you vote on this? Yes, okay.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, but she freezes. So.
Yeah, I know, you're right.
Member
Yes.
Okay, member Smith,
Yes.
member Espinosa,
Yes.
member Lynn,
Yes.
and I am a yes. The motion carries 5-0. 29B is adopt resolution 2021-07, the GAN limit for 2019, 2020, and 2020 through 2021 fiscal years. Anything else to add to this, Marianne?
No, thank you.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by member Nolenberg, second.
Second,
second.
Brennan.
Okay, second by member Lynn. Roll call vote. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Item 30 is to approve the carryover of 2019-2020 ending fund balances and remaining grant award balances to fiscal year 2020-2021. Oh, Marianne, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. Following the closing of the fiscal year, a review of unspent restricted funds from federal, state, or local resources are reviewed, and the district is permitted to carry over these amounts and include them in the next year's budget. Once this process is complete, these amounts will be added to the budget of sites and departments so they can include them in their plans for 2021. So this is the detail of what will be carried over. Primarily the federal funds are the title funds, titles 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's some Medi-Cal billing that can be carried over because it's restricted. And then for the sites, they have a lot of gifts and donations from facility rent or from donations. And you can see the resource number tells you where the funds came from and then which site has which amount of money that will be carried over and can be included in their plan. And this is an annual process we do each year.
I'll make a motion that we carry over the grants, et cetera. Number 30.
I'll second.
Okay, second by, motion was made by member Nolenberg, second by member Espinosa. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Nicole?
So, yeah.
Let's see. Nicole, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
And member Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is the consent agenda. These are routine items approved by one motion and one vote unless a member of the board or audience requests that any item be reviewed and voted upon separately. And I believe, member Smith, you wanted.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, but I'd like 34 and 35 to be voted on separately.
Okay, so we're voting on 31, 32, 33.
And 36.
And that motion was made by member Smith, and the second?
Second.
Second by member Nolenberg. Okay, Nicole?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
And member Espinosa?
Yes.
Okay, now I believe you're going to leave us.
I am, but Andy, are you there? Okay, I got it, thanks.
And then, okay, I'll text you when it's time to come back. All right, so now we're going to vote on items 34 and 35. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the.
Okay, motion by member Nolenberg. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by member Espinosa. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Nicole?
Yes.
Let's see, I am a yes. Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Okay. Member Espinosa
Yes.
and member Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries 4-0. And let me text Matt to come back. Okay. All right. Yes. All right, we move on to item 37, which is board comments. Does anybody have any board comments?
Yes, I like to see the board meeting shortened by giving more information, or anybody has a question, call in and get the answer. And if it's important enough for everybody to hear the answer, to provide it. And I like to see the board,
Okay.
I think that would be a possible Brown Act violation, if you're answering questions for one and sharing with all. I'm okay with the length of these meetings.
Yeah, so am I. Whatever is necessary to, ensure transparency and collaboration is important.
Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to item 38, which is future agenda items. We have the Canvas demonstration, which I believe is coming up soon. A joint meeting with the Personnel Commission is coming up soon also.
Yes.
Communications presentation, do we have a date for that, or?
We're just going to look at the number of items on the board meetings and try to slot it in. We don't want to, go too long or overfill an agenda, but we will definitely get on there as soon as possible.
And then the virtual Zoom drills, do we have a date in mind for that, or is that going to be slotted in also?
We don't have a date in mind for that one just yet, but we will. We'll definitely get it on either one of the October meetings or November by the latest.
Okay.
And
do any of the board members have any other items?
I just wanted to ask a comment about board agenda. I know we took off the dual language, and because we had that comment today, I just wanted to ask or get reminded about when we said we would put that back on the agenda.
So we did take it off of the agenda because it will require us to have a really deep look into what that would take to put in dual immersion. When working with our elementary schools all the way through Oak and then up through, the high school level. So we would have to work with our union closely about that. We did talk to TCEA about that specifically. And then I think that's part of the work that we want to be doing with TCEA and a committee this year and looking at those programs and how do we systematically align them all the way TK through 12 so that it makes sense and that it doesn't kind of overturn the apple cart. But that is something that we would really need to work extensively with. But I don't have an end date in mind in terms of when we can bring that to the board, but we will bring the progress toward that work to the board along the way.
Okay, thank you.
I asked for the virtual Zoom drill. I would like to withdraw it because it sounds like, there's a lot of work that's involved. But I'm pretty sure that if we were to get bombed right now, that Donna, exactly how to shut it off, and Andy's right there to help us. But I don't want to impose this on our teachers and take away instructional minutes. Just the thought and just the practice of maybe having our students know how to respond. But I don't want you to spend time creating a beautiful presentation, 5 hours spent just to talk about it. No, that wouldn't be cool. No, I don't want that. But with that said, we do have the California Great Shakeout. We just had the earthquake last week. Was it this week? It's been a blur. It's a total blur. But we had an earthquake, right, in Almonte.
Yeah.
And the thing is, are we doing any drills at all? You know, any type of evacuation, like, hey, kids, you're at home, evacuate, hide under the bed. I don't know. Are we doing anything like that?
Normally we would have, as being a principal, you would have evacuation drills already set up and probably, either participated in the Great Shakeout is usually the first one of the year. No, we have not. So we do need to make sure, all of our students know what to do. Of course, we don't know what their homes look like or even where they are when they're in campus and in the Zoom Canvas platform on Zoom. So we do need to make sure that we are still complying with the federal and state guidelines regarding drills, because we do have members on campus.
Has the state waived those requirements for this year?
Not to my awareness. I have not totally checked into it, but that has not been any of the conversation that has been had in at least the superintendent meetings or the meetings that have guided us thus far. But that's definitely something to look into. Absolutely.
Okay, just don't spend too much time looking into it. I know how busy you are.
No, it's worth it. Safety's worth it.
Maybe as a service to our families, we could include some information about making a home plan in the bi-monthly newsletter.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You just took my words out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry. Hey, great minds think
quicker,
alike.
Matt.
Yeah.
Gotta be quicker.
Okay, any other future agenda items? All right, if not, do we have any more additional public comment on agendized and non-agendized items? Where's Marie? Nope, nothing. Okay, we'll move on to item 40, which is adjournment. It is now 9:03. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by member Nolenberg, second
second.
by member Espinosa. Okay. All right, roll call vote. Nicole?
Yes.
Member Nolenberg?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Espinosa?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So the motion carries 5-0. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Evening.
Okay.
Oh, take your time.